kluntjes, or rock candy, to sweeten the brew. She used gold sugar tongs to place a single large rock into each cup. Liebespuppe, he said in a gentle voice. She turned to him, holding the tongs. The room grew silent except for the whisper of HEPA-processed air filtering into the bunker from discreetly concealed vents. Yes, Herr König, she said in German. Gunther, today, he said, taking her hand in his. Dies ist nicht der Tag, an dem sie so förmlich ist. She looked at him. Gunther, I want to ask about your father again, about where he stored the information, he said, his light blue eyes on her face. But first the tea. We mustn't forget that it is steeping. Muncie nodded, finally withdrew her hand, and set down the tongs in her other hand. She turned back to the range, picked up the kettle again, and filled the rose-patterned teapot to the top with steaming water. Finally, she poured the tea over the sugar rocks through a strainer. First his cup, then hers. König watched as she set down the pot and spooned a dash of sweet cream into each cup. It was his strict instruction that the cream sit out until it was room temperature. He did not like it chilled right out of the refrigerator, since that would too quickly cool the tea and ruin its complicated blend of flavors. Coming around to him, she set his cup and saucer down on the tablecloth, the china rattling slightly in her hand. Then she sank into her chair, staring at him over her own cup. König took his time raising the cup from the table. He saw the dread in her eyes and paused with the tea below his chin, looking down at the cloud of white cream at its center. Then he looked back up at her face. His eyes on her eyes, he listened to the hum of sterile, temperature-controlled air. Tell me where he stored the data, König said at last. He gave her another sad, sympathetic smile, his lips parting slightly now to show a flash of white teeth. Tell me. She stared at him for another long moment, her lips trembling. Her head shook from side to side. I don't know, she said. I swear. No, he interrupted. I don't believe you. Now give me the truth, or I'll have to punish you again. Muncie blinked twice, her eyes moist and bright. A moment later she began to cry, then sob heavily. He saw a blue-black discoloration on one of her pale white cheeks where the tears had washed away the red rouge. Stop, he said. He did not want to see the bruising and swelling under her makeup. Stop it! But she did not stop. She kept crying, her chest and shoulders heaving as she pulled in short, moist breaths between convulsive sobs. A cold ball of anger filled König's chest. He slammed his teacup down onto the saucer and lunged forward over the table, shooting out his right hand to grab her wrist. The cup overturned with a rattle, and the saucer broke into 2 large pieces, his tea spilling onto the tablecloth to stain it a dark brown. He heard the liquid dripping from the table onto the floor, the sound mingling with her uncontrollable sobs to mar the room's silence. You have ruined the tea, he said, reaching out and twisting her lips with his fingers. Ruined everything with your lies. You know what that means. Pain and terror leaped into her eyes. He twisted her lips again, and she cringed with a muffled whimper. König stood up without letting go of her, rising to his full 6-foot height. Thick-necked, broad-chested, he had the bulky physique of someone who diligently bench-pressed heavy weights. He took 2 wide sliding steps around the table, his hand still clamped around her wrist. Then he moved behind her chair, using his muscular body to prevent it from crashing backward to the floor as he effortlessly lifted her to her feet. He felt her warm tears flowing over his hand, felt her suck in breath after breath between his lipstick-smeared knuckles. Ruined, he thought. The tea ceremony, his entire evening, ruined and broken. And still no information. But he would not leave it at that. He could not. He leaned forward so his mouth pressed against her ear, looming over her, bending her arm behind her waist. You will tell me where to find the information, he said, sooner or later.